Every single day, humans eat over 280 million servings of instant ramen. That's not a week, that's not a month. Every single day. If you lined up every pack of ramen eaten today end to end, the line would wrap around the earth more than 3 times. And tomorrow, it starts all over again. But here's the question nobody asks. How does a factory actually turn a block of dried noodles into something that's ready to eat in 3 minutes flat? The answer is stranger and more fascinating than you ever imagined. Inside these factories, wheat goes through a process so intense it gets flash fried at over 300 degrees in a matter of seconds. The noodles you pull apart so easily, they were once a single unbroken sheet longer than a football field. And that little flavor packet? It goes through more quality checks than most medicines on pharmacy shelves. But the most shocking part? That comes later. Welcome to Infusions and Elements. Step 1. The ingredients. Simple on the surface, complex underneath. It starts with flour. Lots and lots of flour. A single large ramen factory can consume over 50 tons of wheat flour every single day. That's the weight of 8 full-grown African elephants, gone before the day is over. But not just any flour will do. Ramen manufacturers source specific high-gluten wheat varieties, carefully blended to hit an exact protein percentage. Too little gluten and the noodles fall apart. Too much and they become tough and rubbery. Getting that balance right took decades of testing. The flour is then mixed with a solution most people have never heard of, kansui water. This is an alkaline mineral water containing sodium carbonate and potassium carbonate. It sounds like a chemistry experiment, and in a way it is. Kansui is what gives ramen noodles their signature yellow color. Not dye, not coloring, pure chemistry. It also changes the protein structure of the dough on a molecular level, creating that springy, slightly chewy texture that separates ramen from every other noodle on the planet. The mixing machines work at precisely calibrated speeds. Too fast and the dough heats up unevenly. Too slow and the gluten doesn't develop properly. Each batch is monitored in real time, with sensors checking temperature and consistency every few seconds. And this is just the beginning. Because once the dough is mixed, it enters a system that will stretch, fold, and reshape it in ways that are almost hard to believe. Step 2. Sheeting and cutting, turning dough into noodles. The mixed dough gets fed into a series of heavy steel rollers, and what comes out the other side is a thin, continuous sheet of noodle dough. But it doesn't go through just one set of rollers. It passes through multiple sets, each one slightly closer together than the last, progressively pressing the sheet thinner and thinner with incredible precision. At its final thickness, a ramen noodle sheet is just a fraction of a millimeter thick. Imagine that. A sheet of dough so thin you could almost read through it, stretching out across a conveyor belt that can run over 100 meters long inside a single factory. Then come the cutting blades. Rotating knife rollers slice the sheet into individual noodle strands at speeds that are almost too fast to watch. Thousands of cuts per minute. Each noodle strand identical in width, identical in length. The cutting blades are engineered to such precision that the variation between individual noodles is measured in micrometers. These aren't noodles, they're engineered strands. But here's where it gets interesting. After cutting, the noodle strands don't travel flat. They pass over a slow-moving conveyor while a fast-moving belt underneath pushes them into gentle, wave-like folds. Those wavy patterns aren't just for looks, they serve a critical purpose in what comes next. And it changes everything about how the noodles cook. Step 3. The steaming tunnel. Cooking before cooking. Before the noodles are dried or fried, they pass through a steaming tunnel. This is one of the most important steps in the entire process, and most people have no idea it exists. Inside the tunnel, noodles travel on a continuous belt through thick clouds of pressurized steam for several minutes. The steam partially gelatinizes the starch inside each noodle strand. In plain language, the factory is cooking the noodles before you ever boil water at home. This pre-cooking step is what allows instant ramen to rehydrate so quickly in hot water. The starches inside have already been transformed at a structural level. When you pour boiling water over them at home, they're not starting from scratch. They're finishing a process the factory already began. The wavy shape helps here too. Those gentle folds create tiny air pockets between noodle strands, allowing steam to penetrate evenly. If the noodles were straight, the steam would flow around the outside and leave the center undercooked. Every wave, every fold, engineered on purpose. After the steam tunnel, the noodles are cut into individual serving-sized portions and dropped into molds, small rectangular frames that will determine the final shape of the noodle block. And then they enter the most dramatic step of the entire factory process. If you're enjoying this, Infusions and Elements has more factory secrets just like this one. Hit subscribe so you never miss one. Step 4. Flash frying, the step that changed food history. In 1958, a man named Momofuku Ando solved a problem that had stumped food engineers for years. How do you make noodles that last for months without refrigeration and cook in minutes? His answer was frying. Specifically, flash frying. submerging the steamed noodle portions in palm oil heated to temperatures between 140 and 160 degrees Celsius for just 60 to 90 seconds. What happens inside that fryer is extraordinary. As the noodles hit the oil, the moisture trapped inside each strand instantly vaporizes and escapes. It leaves behind millions of microscopic holes throughout the noodle structure. This is called the porous matrix, and it's the secret behind the 3-minute cook time. When you pour hot water over these noodles at home, water rushes into those tiny holes and rehydrates the noodle from the inside out. It's not just surface contact, it's deep structural rehydration. The frying also locks in the wavy shape permanently. What was a soft, pliable noodle goes rigid and shelf-stable in under 2 minutes. Imagine if you scaled up the oil used in one factory in a single day. You'd fill an Olympic swimming pool, and then some. After frying, the noodle blocks are cooled on a long conveyor belt before any packaging takes place. Packaging hot noodles would trap condensation inside the bag, and condensation leads to mold. The cooling step is non-negotiable. It's a process that takes seconds, but has to be perfect every single time. Step 5. The flavor packet, more than just powder. Here's something most people never think about. The noodle block gets most of the attention, but the flavor packet, that tiny pouch sitting next to the noodles, it goes through an entirely separate production line, and it might be the most complex part of the whole operation. There are different types of seasoning packets in different ramen products: powdered seasoning, liquid sauce packets, oil packets. Some premium products have all three. Each powdered seasoning blend can contain 20 to 40 individual ingredients: salt, sugar, MSG, dried vegetables, hydrolyzed proteins, spices, and flavor compounds that food scientists have spent years developing. The mixing process for seasoning is incredibly precise. Too much of any single ingredient doesn't just change the taste, it can affect the powder's ability to dissolve properly or even cause it to clump in storage. Every batch of seasoning powder is tested in quality control labs before it ever reaches a noodle. Trained tasters evaluate samples multiple times a day, checking consistency against a master flavor profile that never changes. Some global ramen brands produce over 100 different flavor varieties, each requiring its own unique seasoning formula. That's 100 different recipes being produced simultaneously across different lines in the same factory. And every single packet has to taste exactly the same as the one made 6 months ago 10,000 miles away. That level of consistency is harder to achieve than most people realize. It requires a supply chain spanning dozens of countries, all converging inside a single building. Step 6. Packaging and quality control. The final gauntlet. Before a single pack of ramen leaves the factory, it passes through one of the most thorough quality control systems in the entire food industry. Each noodle block is visually inspected, both by human eyes and by high-resolution cameras running image recognition software. Any block with a broken edge, uneven color, or structural flaw is automatically rejected and pulled from the line. The seasoning packet is weighed automatically. If it's even a fraction of a gram too light or too heavy, the entire unit is removed. Then comes the metal detector. Every single pack passes through a magnetic field strong enough to detect a fragment of metal smaller than a grain of rice. If anything is found, the entire production batch from that period is held and inspected. The packaging machines seal each bag with a combination of heat and pressure, creating an airtight seal that locks out moisture and oxygen. The date stamp and batch code are laser printed, not stickered, so they can never peel off or fade. A single high-speed packaging line can seal, stamp, and sort over 500 packs per minute. That's over 8 packs per second. By the end of a single production day, a large factory will have packaged enough ramen to feed a city. Here's the fact that was saved for last, and it's the one that puts everything into perspective. Instant ramen was invented in 1958. In less than 70 years, it became the most consumed noodle product in human history. Surveys have found that prison inmates in the United States rate ramen as more valuable than cigarettes as a form of currency. It has fed refugees in disaster zones. It sustained students, soldiers, and families across generations on 6 continents. A block of fried noodles that cost less than $1, made in under 2 minutes by machines running 24 hours a day, quietly became one of the most important foods ever created. And now you know exactly how it's made. If this blew your mind, Infusions and Elements drops a new factory secret every single week. Hit subscribe and join our growing community of curious people who never miss a behind-the-scenes look at the world's biggest factories. Next week, we're going inside the factory that makes instant coffee, and the machine at the center of it runs at temperatures hotter than volcanic lava. You won't want to miss it.